Ooh,
Hello, Azamat.
yeah, sorry about that, guys. I completely forgot recording it. Yes, go ahead, please.
No, I was trying to jump. Like it's on the beginning. We can continue.
Well, sure, it was a really good job.
Hey, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Can I ask one question?
Absolutely, go ahead.
So it means that when we use map, and we need to add only one component and then it will render automatically three of them or all information what we have.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And when we don't use this method, it means that we need to type three times and then add all information, yeah, like key and
That is
etc.
correct. Yes, that's a good point. So what you can do here, right? What you can do here, if you don't map it, you can grab this guy right here, all right? And then you can just do like this. But however, you need to do teams and select a 0, right? The same way. And then this guy right here, an item first and second. And then same way, you need to pass down these guys as a team. Okay, 1, 2. And now you should be able to see this exact same result. Okay, but what happens if you what happens if you have hundreds of teams? How are you gonna handle those things? Are you gonna handle these manually like this? No, right? It definitely makes sense to map through those teams array and then deal with it. So in what I was showing you guys. Yeah, the previous the down version of the voting system. Okay, so we were looping through, we were running a for loop, and we had only one function that creates a single voting box, right? Voting card, and then we were just looping through the teams array, and then we were displaying in the UI. The same way, instead of putting these guys separately, what we can do here, map through our array, okay? Which map works perfectly fine with in React applications. Whenever you have any type of object or array, you can just map through it. Of course, if you cannot map through the objects, right? You have to convert that into array to map it. Okay, so now return team key, team ID, it should be fine. All right, cool. So back into our team.jsx. So now, instead of these guys right here, what do I have teams? Image, img. I can bring my img to, and I don't need this ID over here, I guess. Oh, maybe I will need it because I need to deal with when I'm clicking something over here, right? So for the img, of course, it's a variable too. You can just do img. Okay. Now we are able to see our images too. What happens? So now, how about, all right, do you guys want to take a break? 10 minutes break, and then we can continue with the clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize, guys. I forgot to record it. On. I guess you guys also forgot about it. Yeah, we'll keep recording it from now on. All right, let's just take 10 minutes break. Okay, guys. Am I still shared? Yes. So what we did now, we are able to display the names and the count, etc. Let's try to deal with this vote. Okay, it's not working for now because we don't have on-click event attached to these buttons. All right, so what we are going to do now is this is our app.jsx, right? And this is each team. And we might have multiple teams additional, okay? So let's assume that there's hundreds of them. So with these on clicks, we need to make sure that when we click this button, right? When we click this button, we have a teams array down here in the parent, right? Let's assume that this is app.jsx and this is each team, okay? We have a teams array down here. And now when we click the button, we need to send the ID, right? Lifting the state up. We need to lift the ID for each team. Okay, so for that, we need to create a function down here, and then we can pass down the function into each team component. And when we click the button from the function, we can receive our IDs. But of course, what is going to be changed for the teams? For the teams, we need to change the count, right? For that, if you have something changing within the component, and as soon as it changes, we re-render our application, and with the latest changed teams array, we will be re-rendering and we will be displaying our UI, right, on our screen. But because of that, we need to have a state in our app.jsx component. If you don't have a state, how are you going to update the teams array and then re-render the application? Okay. The only way to re-render the application would be if you have a state and if you have a function associated with that state. All right. So what we can have here, constant data set data is equal to use state. All right. As an initial value, we can use teams. Right? As an initial value, we can use teams. And instead of teams right here, we can use data. We can use data. Now we are seeing exact same thing. All right. So never use this set data well before return. Never use. Like, don't do this one. Set data and put a different empty array or different data to replace these teams. Never do that. What happens if you do that right here? Who can tell me?
Nothing.
It would be empty or
It's going to be infinite loop, right? Just keep in mind, guys, what does this set data do? Okay, set data, right? Set data, we're right here, right? So we have the data and we have a return statement and we have set data right here. What does set data does is that it updates our state and it re-renders, right? From top to bottom. When it comes to top to bottom, it sees the set data again. All right, I see the set data again. Okay, I need to update again. And then I need to re-render again. Okay, I see the set data again. It will just keep doing it this one. It will be infinite loop. It's not gonna go to return. All right. If I do this guy right here, let's see what's my console say. Save it. See, too many re-renders. React limits the number of renders, and the application will not load. See, we're not going even to return. It just keeps re-rendering and looping through it. It just updates the data and re-renders, updates the data, re-renders. Right? Never do that. All right, cool. So now we have the data. Okay. So how about we create a function, constant both function. Why am I going to okay, both function. Constant log. Let's just say ID, and we're getting ID. Right? And then I need to pass down this function onto my each team. So now when I'm grabbing it in each team, bring it down here. It's going to be team, right? And then right after it, we have both function. Okay. So we can add on click right over here, and then anonymous function. Okay, and then I can say vote function, and then I can pass down this ID. Pass down this ID. All right. If I click this guy, ID number 1. If I click this guy, ID number 3. Those are the IDs. Another option would be just grab this guy right here. Okay, so let me. This one is the first option, and then we can do constant handle click. Actually, I do have it already, right? I just copied. And then I can just bring this kind of handle click right over here. It's gonna do exact same thing. Refresh, vote, vote, vote. This way it's much easier for me to read instead of this guy right here. I mean, instead of this on click, putting an anonymous function, because sometimes your JSX gets really big and it's hard to focus on the function and then the logic inside. Okay, so it definitely makes sense to create another function and put the function name right over here. Any questions up until now? We're clear?
Yeah, I didn't get the part. Why did you create the use state for data? Maybe you'll use it later. I just didn't get when you explain it.
When we created use state data.
Yeah, for teams.
So yeah.
How are you gonna use
The idea here in the screen is that when we click vote, right? This guy needs to increase, right? This guy is the count for each data. All right. So if I don't have state down here, and it's just the teams, how do I, when I click it, how do I update that teams, right? How do I update count from here, right? And then how do I update it? And then how do I re-render? Without the set data or without the set, the function that comes with the use state, how do you re-render the component? There's no way to re-render it.
I thought
The only way we can render is to have a state, okay, and then set data, or some sort of, we have a props coming down from upper, the parent of app, which is what? The parent of app is main J6 right here, right? If your prop is changing, then you can re-render your components. But if you don't have a props, and if you like to re-render this component, then you definitely need to have, a state variable inside your component. And that's why I created the constant data. set data, and as an initial value, I put teams.
Could you use useState inside team?
I didn't use any useState inside my team.
Yeah, is it possible to create here useState to change the vote count or?
To change the vote count over here,
Yeah, with useState here. You will
it is
create.
possible. Yeah, definitely. It is possible. But the thing is that
Yeah.
you have you need to bring these teams for each team. I mean, it doesn't make any sense though, right? You can keep this data, set data in a single place, right? In a single place right over here, and click it and update that data based on the button click. But if you bring the data over here for each team,
They will have same vote count.
no, they won't have same vote count, right? So this data will be extremely exactly completely different than this data.
I mean, if you will create inside team, I think they will have same count when we will click.
You mean like if we will have this data in our team JSX, all data? Do you
Okay.
mean like this? No, I mean if we have all data in team JSX anywhere, it will not re-render it because our app JSX is gonna load its one time and that's it. If nothing is changing on app JSX, it will not re-render it. Even if something changed in team JSX, right?
Well, the thing about is that basically you want this guy right here. It's like getting this guy and putting it right over here. Basically, right? It's something like that. So like this. But the thing about is bringing this teams array into each team. Okay, you can definitely do that. But when you click it for this team, you will be only updating this object. This object is useless. This two object is useless. Right? When it comes to the next one, you will be only updating this object right here, the count of this object, and these two objects are useless.
Okay.
Those two objects are useless.
You click, this will increase, and other will not work. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, okay, we can try that now. So you instead of okay, in the teams, right? In the teams, let's assume that we don't have count, right? This Control Z. Let me just do this one. In the teams, let's assume that there is no count. Okay, so we don't have count right now, so we don't need this function for now. Okay, what we can do here inside each team, let's do your way. Right, so let's have a constant count, set count, use state. Okay, for every single, oh, there's count. We don't have count anymore. Okay, for every single team, the initial count will be 0. You cannot set. Okay, vote function is not defined. Okay, so let me just. You know what? I'm not going to use. Let's just keep it this function, but I'm not going to use it for now, right? So every single team will have the initial count 0 all the time. We cannot set the different numbers for these guys right here, right? Because we don't have count, right? Because we are setting the count inside our individual team, and the initial value for all the teams is 0. And now, when I handle click right here, I can do set count. Okay, set count plus 1. And I can put the count right over here. All right, we can achieve this way. Individually, we put a count state for each team, and initial value for each team will be 0. right? And then we were able to increase those counts. This way definitely work.
I thought, yeah, about this way.
This is fine. Right, but the whole, when we click the button right here, we're not re-rendering the whole application because the state inside our app.js is not changing. The only component that we are re-rendering is this guy right here. And when we click this guy, we're re-rendering this guy. Okay, that's for our first option. The second option would be putting the teams over here and change specific object for the specific team, and then re-render the component, the full component, and then display the data.
Okay, I see the difference. Yeah, but the one
You
more
see this now?
the good thing is not to rendering whole page, right? If we need to render just some part of page, some components,
Yes,
because it will render faster, right?
yes, that's correct. So there might be some components, unrelated components that they don't need to be updated, right? It's not a team. Let's say some sort of other components. Okay, that's the child of JSX. If they don't need to be updated, then no. We can apply some additional stuff not to update these guys right here. Some components that don't need to update it, like they don't have a props change it or they don't have state change it within them, then we don't need to update these components. For that, we have some solutions that we will be showing to you guys in the next classes. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Azamat. Yeah, I see what we want
The
to do.
difference now?
Yeah, let's try
Cool.
how we wanted before. Yeah, it's interesting.
Cool. So let me just create a copy for that. Oops. Okay, so team 2, we can just keep that one in there. So instead of creating a individual state for each team, we'll just grab the count from our teams array. Okay, now we do have count, we do have counts. Okay, cool.
You also need to change the function in team file. Yeah, not
Yes,
possible.
that is cool. Okay, so we're pretty much done with this team JSX, right? Because as long as we grab this ID, that's it. Because in the next re-render, we're going to be receiving different team object with a different count, and then it will just display in the UI. So now we grab the ID, and now we can update our data. So as we were saying previously, right? We should not update our data, right? We should not update our state variables directly. We should not update our state variables directly. We should always use set data, right? Because this is array, and inside the array we have a bunch of objects, right? Basically, they are connected based on references, right? In the memory, they're pointing to the same exact reference. If you do, for instance, if you do data that for each, okay, d, and if d.id is equal to id, then in that case it changed something, change the count, right? So if you do this one right here, then you are directly updating the state without using set data. Now what's the problem with that, right? d.count is equal to d.count plus 1. What's the problem with that? We are update if you do this one right here, this data is show in the memory, it's pointing to the same reference as this data. And if you update any object within this array, then you are directly updating this data. And now if you do that, you updated the data state variable over here already, right? It's updated without the set data. You didn't use the set data. Now, what's the point, and how can you re-render now? Right? That's the whole point with the set data functions, or the things that the functions start with set. Okay, the whole point is that we need to update the data and then re-render the component. If you update the data directly, the next thing will be rerunning the component. All right. Next thing will be re-rendering the component. Let's try this one. All right. Let's try console.log. Oops. Console.log data. So initially, the count is 0 for each. Okay. Initially, the count is 0 for each. I'm clicking the vote now. Now, I'm clicking the vote, but however, my component is not re-rendered. That's why I don't see the updated data. Okay, if I do data, am I going to be seeing it? No, its data is not available, right? So I'm updating the data right now. My data is being updated, right? I'm increasing the counts. So let me, you know what? Let me see this data right over here. Okay. All right, as you guys can see, I'm updating the data, right? I'm updating the data directly, right? Number count 4. For Manchester, see, I'm updating the data directly. But my component is not re-rendering. My component is not re-rendering. In order to do that, React says that do not directly update the state variables, state data. Only update the variables with set data. Okay, we need to make sure that we need to create a deep copy of the data. Whatever the data is object, is an array, we need to create a deep copy. Now there's different options to create a deep copy of an array of objects or whatever, okay? If it's primitive values, you don't have to use the deep copy, right? Deep copy is just used for objects and arrays or array of objects, okay? So don't do this one. There's multiple options that we can create deep copies, right? We can definitely use third-party libraries such as Lodash. We can install in our package.json and then import Lodash, right? Lodash for deep copy. Lodash clone deep. Okay, Lodash clone deep method is used to create. Oh my goodness, continue with that support. Is used to create a deep copy of the value, and it recursively clones the value. The newly created object has the same value as the original, but they are not the same object in the memory. Okay, we can definitely use that, but let's see other options, and we can import. We can install this Lodash and then use it in our application. Right. So what else? What else? We can also use JSON.stringify. Okay. We can also use .map higher order function, but this is gonna be just a shallow copy. Right? Shallow copy means if you have just an array of objects like this, but if you have child, right? If you have child objects like other, and then this is also object, etc., then in that case, map will not copy, will not create a deep cloning for these objects, right? Map only creates a deep cloning only for those array of objects only in a first level. If you have objects in a deep additional levels, second level, third level, then map will not create a deep copy. Okay, let's see this one right now. So what we can do is constant new data is equal to data dot map. Okay, data dot map d is equal to the arrow function. We can do return a new object that contains the data for each object. Is this clear, guys? Right? What we can do here, constant new d is equal to this guy right here, and return new d. Okay, we can do this one. So if I do this one right here, new data, selecting the first item and change the count to 10. Okay, and if I say console.log, new data, and at the same time console.log data. Right, new data. This is just data. I would like to show if we were able to shallow copy this new data. Okay, let's save it. So now if I say vote, all right, cool. New data, the count 10. Is my data contains count 10 now? No, the count 0. It's still 0. So basically, we were able to, it's not a deep copy, as I was saying, shallow copy, right? Shallow copy in the first level, but it still created a new data. It's completely different. It's referencing completely different spot in the memory. Okay, this is one way.
But it's not gonna copy all the values inside. It's just creating the new variables, right?
It's copying the whole everything that the D contains.
But why count is 0 then?
Because that's the whole point we're trying to do. When we do the data that map, we're trying to create a new data.
Yeah.
All right. And then we're gonna make some change and then set data with the new data. Okay. This is what we are trying to do. Set data with the new data.
Well,
Right?
You want
No,
change-
why is there zeros? Like what?
Because so I'm trying to show you guys the difference between new data and data. What we are trying to achieve here, we're trying to achieve to create a new brand new data. That's just a copy of data, right? But it's completely different data. It's completely different array of objects, right? If I make changes to new data, this data, whatever the key value should not change. That's the whole point. So if I click vote, this function will run. It will create new data, and in the new data, we'll change the count to 10. But data count for the item in the 0 index is not changing. Click.
You know,
Oh, I
original
mean,
Azamat, you wanna change original count? The original data?
oh,
That's
yeah.
the idea. We don't want to change the original count. If you change the original count, if you change the original data, it means that you are directly updating the state. We're trying to stay away from that. Okay. If you don't want to directly update the state like this, then we need to create a new data, right? a new array of objects. It's completely different than this original data. We need to create a new data and make the count change, right? Make the count change, and then update the data. Now, if you update the original data directly, which React says do not do that, always update the state variables with the functions. Okay. So now our new data is completely different than data. That's one way to create two different array of objects.
So Azamat, when we are updating so old data with new data, is it gonna replace everything? So every field inside the array, or just
Yes.
only count?
We're just overriding the whole thing.
Overriding, okay. Wow. So what if you have a lot of information? It's gonna so override all the so everything inside?
It will, yes.
Mm.
It will basically override the whole thing. If your
Okay,
data,
every time when we are clicking, it's gonna rewrite all the arrays ever.
I mean,
My God.
but if you have like 1,000 of them, it's gonna take a while. I think it's not efficient. Overriding all of them. Like you can be like lost some data in like Is there any like better approaches than this?
the better approach, well, this is how we've been doing all the projects. I mean,
Maybe like give it some ID and then access by ID and then updating in a set data by the ID of the project.
well, that is definitely achievable, yeah. But still, you're going to be directly updating that state data if you do that, right? Reaching out with the ID and then try to update. But the whole idea is we need to create, if this one is object or array, it doesn't matter. You need to
Oh, yeah.
create a new data or new object or new array of objects, and then make the change from that new data, and then push that new data into the state variable, and then it will render the application.
It's really hard when you don't have the access to actual variable, only the function.
Yes, that is correct. So that's the only way we can. That's the only way we can re-render our application. Okay, so what?
So Azamat, in this case, we are re-rendering all the three cards every time. Then, so even I clicked, for example, for Barcelona, one vote, and so data updated for everything for all the three teams. It's gonna render all three teams every time, not only Barcelona vote.
It will, yes, it will.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. So sorry about that. So if I'm clicking this guy right here, and if I'm only updating this one right here, so as I was saying, the React DOM actually, right? React DOM will create
So it's gonna compare, right? It's gonna
yes,
compare. Okay.
it will create
So
a new
only
virtual DOM.
update. So
and-
only update those. So which has some new updates.
Exactly. It will just only update those which has new updates.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Okay.
can
got
also
it. Yeah.
see it in over here. It will flash whichever one is changing.
Yeah, in this case, yeah. For example, if you updated Barcelona, it's gonna render only Barcelona, not other teams, right?
Not other teams, no.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you.
One thing to clarify one more time. When we change data in our app.jsx, right, in this file, it will re-render every single team, right? However, as I was saying, React DOM will create a new virtual DOM, and it will compare, right? It will compare the previous virtual DOM with the new one, and it will see where it is changed, right? For instance, if we click this one, this guy right here change it. That's the only part change it. And it will compare previous virtual DOM with the new virtual DOM. It will see the change and it will push the change specific to in the real DOM. The specific part that was changed, and it will push the change to that one. Basically, if it will re-render every single teams. However, when it makes the update in the real DOM, okay, only updates the team that belongs to the change over here. The remaining will be kept as it is in the real DOM. However, in the virtual DOM, every single team will be rendered. But when it comes to the comparison, it will see which part the count changed, and it will update in the real DOM the exact same part. It will not touch to others. All right, so okay. Right over here, we have new data about it. Now we can put if statement right here. If d.id is equal to id, right? The id we're grabbing from vote function. Then what we can do here, return, okay, count is equal to d.count plus 1 and then d. Otherwise, just return d. Oh, sorry, just return d.
What if we create the states for each team and then like store the data in a context and then updating? And,
What context?
yeah, I mean like global. No. I
Oh,
know.
you're going too far right now. Yeah, don't go that too far, right? So state context API or state context, we're gonna deal with those in the later classes. Right? It's too much to consume for today. Okay.
Is it good when we have like a lot of states in a like on a page?
In a single component?
I mean, if we have like for each team separate states, like
No.
a lot of states.
You can have multiple steps. Yeah, why not?
No, I mean like it's gonna like page is gonna be too heavy or something. Like, is it a good approach to have a like too many states, or is it good to like have less, like as less as possible?
Well, it depends on if you need them, right? If you need
Yeah.
multiple states, then there's no other option to create different states then.
Yeah.
It depends on your application. Like
Yeah, looks like when we will work with the forms, we need to have multiple states, right? For forms, for input forms.
forms are a little bit different. Okay.
Okay.
Forms are a little bit different. So you can have a form. For instance, let's say form data and then set form data, and right over here we can just say, for instance, name empty and last name empty, etc. Okay, you can put these guys as the value for each input. For instance, email, empty string, etc. Okay, when you have
Okay, can go everything can go in one state.
What?
So all the data can go on, so you can
Yes.
be inside the
Yep.
one state.
Yep.
Okay.
You create only one state, right?
Oh, okay.
And when you are updating, you can update the specific parts that are being updated, right? With the change on change. The forms is a little bit a longer topic, right? So when we have form related projects, we will do it in different classes. But don't rush right now. Don't think about the state.
I have a question, like, is there any like patterns specific to like how you build the web pages?
Is there any pattern?
Yeah, patterns, like how you how like organize the code, how it works. Like I know AMBC, like models, controllers, and then views, something like that.
Well, most of the time, the recommended way is to keep components in a single spot, right?
If you have like multiple pages, you just add all of them in a component, or
Yes.
divided by.
Well, if they're
pages.
components, then you need to keep them inside the components, right?
Okay.
You can also create utils folder for small functions like a reusable
Oh
function.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you don't worry about this the structure of the applications. Of course, the structure of the application is completely different for each company. It's the difference, right? Don't worry about that. So as long as you are able to read through the code and then be able to find where the component is located, where the styling is located, and the connection between these components from app we're jumping to this team, and from team we're jumping to another app component, etc. As long as you are able to follow that logic, follow that path, the flow of the data, then you should be good. That's the whole point. And also, don't forget about the props. How are you dealing with the props? How are you passing those props in parent components? Is it like this, or is it like this, etc.? Okay. Cool.
Azamat.
Yes.
Yeah, in line 22, no, here's 27, yeah, in line 27, when you return, you use 3 dots for the, I don't remember this name of this method, 3 dots. What will you get if you will write only D without these dots?
If you do this D, right? So here's the thing. Yeah. So
D.
let A is equal to object name, something like this. Okay, and A is an object. So if you do create a new object, let B is equal to, you cannot do this.
A.
Yeah, so you can do that. You can definitely do that, because what I was saying last time, if the key and the value is the same, then it will create like this, right? It will say, all right, my key will be A, and then the value will be whatever the contents of A. Okay, it will create B like this. But if you create another object like this with the 3 dots, all right, now C will be equal to exact same thing as A. Now C is equal to name, right? So it's completely different than this guy right here, right? This guy is object. Inside the object we have property A, and for the value is the value of A itself, the object. But with this way, we were spreading the contents of the object. We're spreading, just grabbing this key value and putting inside this new object.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Right. So if you do this one right here, right, it's gonna be at the end of the day, it's gonna be, right, so D is gonna be like this. So the count will be, for instance, let's say 10, and D will be something like this. Okay, as a result, it's going to be like this. If you don't use the spread operators, but if you use the spread operators, it will remove this DK property, but it will keep all the values inside.
It's cool.
All right, so use spread operator. So what am I doing here? Same example. Let A name, and let's say age is 20, okay? Let B is equal to, right over here, I would like to say age is, age is 39, and put the A. Now what's my B? As you guys can see, B,
I think it's overridden the age from
it did override. I think I confused the placement of the A, right? So it has to be like this, okay? So right over here, instead of putting the spread operator at the end, we need to put the spread operator first, right? We need to spread the remaining contents of these guys right here, eliminating this count, right? If you do this guy right here, like this, first D, it will grab everything, but at the end, we're replacing this count, okay? We're replacing this count, and this count will be overridden by the new value over here, all right? Yeah, I confused the placement. We need to use the spread operator first, and then whatever we would like to change it, we need to change it. But if you do it the other way around, it will not be updated. It will just overwrite this H39 with the latest account. All right, so we created let A like this, and we created let B like this, and now B is equal to name, right? We're grabbing the name from A, but however, we're changing the age with our current age. Now it's age 39. That's what we are trying to do over here. If the d.id is equal to id, then return this. If it's not equal to, then you just return d itself. All right, once we do that, we can just set data, new data. All right, let's see the result. Vote, now 1. Vote 1. See, I'm updating the data. I'm updating the state data. I'm not updating the teams. Okay, I'm not updating the state data.
But Azamat, I thought that I thought we need to change original data because, I mean, in real project, if it was real project, when some client will quote,
No, it is not recommended to change the original data.
I mean, where he will keep the changes, only in new data in this variable? To keep all changes, to keep all word counts, if original data don't need to be changed.
Yeah, so original data, we should not change, never change original data, because we might need sometime later, okay? What we change is this guy right here, right? We are creating a new data out of this data, like this, one of the options, and then we're making the change, and we're setting the new data, basically overriding this data.
This data is original, right? Data equal teams. It's same.
In the initial rendering, yes, we are we are setting this the default value for the data as the teams array of objects initially in the first rendering. But when we change it, right? When we change it, new teams data is still remaining as it is, as original, but the data is changing. Data is being overridden by the new data. We're just overriding the new data. Okay, so that's one of the options. The other option is we're going to be dealing with this new data again. Okay, so new data is equal to JSON.parse and JSON.stringify. And now we're just creating the string version of data, array of objects, and then parsing it back to create a new data. Now they're referencing completely different place in the memory. Okay, and now from here, we can do anything with our data. All right, here we go. For each D, and I guess we'll just bring this. Oh yeah, we'll just grab this guy right here and put it over here. Oh my goodness, sorry. If D.id is D, then D.count, D.count is equal to D.count plus 1. And then set the new data. So let's refresh. It's still working fine. That's another option. How about Lodash? NPM.
Azamat, here you don't need to return all D because you are not using map, right?
Oh yeah, no. I'm just going through this because map returns new array, but new for each does not return anything, right? It just returns undefined. But I don't need the map right here because I already got a new data, right? I don't need to create additional new data to make the change. I don't need that. So I'm just going through this for each item inside the new data, and then making the change. That's it. Right, Lodash, exact match. All right, npm install. Lodash is being installed into my package.json right over here. Okay, and then it says, let me see the usage for load categories in Node.js. All right. So what we can do here is constantly require Lodash. What we can do here, usually they import it like this, guys, right? So import from Lodash. It's just a weird import, right? It says underscore. As you guys can see, constant underscore. There's nothing, there's no name. I don't know why they put it like that, but it just works fine like that. Okay, and then let deep copy. Actually constant new data and data. Okay, so constant comparing original with the deep object, deep copy. After changing original value, etc., deep copy. Okay, this is array of objects, yes. Clone deep object. Wait a minute, is it double? No, I don't think so. import Lodash, import that from Lodash. Why they don't put their ESM version? On deep. Yeah, same thing. On deep objects. Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, it somehow is not working with the Lodash.
Yeah, Azamat, let's take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break. Let's take a 5 minutes break, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Meantime, I'll just take a look.
Azamat, will we have a time for second object? For the second project?
We should, yes. So right after the break, we'll just separate you guys into two or whatever the group, and you guys will work on that. All right. All right, guys. I hope you guys see my screen. It was working fine. I mean, this is how you import the Lodash with underscore, okay? And then we clone deep, but we just needed to update our data. That's why it was not updating our data. Okay, so we just need to copy this guy right here, paste it down here, and then make the change. And now you should be able to see the change. All right. So another way to use this clone deep, instead of underscore, we can just reach out to this clone deep method from Lodash like this. This one is the first option, right? And the second option is clone deep from Lodash slash clone deep, and then use this clone deep without the underscore dot. Refresh the page, we should be able to see exact same result. All right, all the changes are in the remote repo. Any questions over here, guys?
No, I don't have.
Okay, let's take a look which project you guys should work on. Yeah, I think these practice projects, advanced to-do, we're gonna do it the next class, the to-do application, how to complete. No, this is also too much of a deal. Is that the restaurant menu? Oh, no, this is also too much. Wait. Basic API, products, cocktails, pagination. What happened now? Do you guys want to do some project on this side maybe? Update parent state. I need to update them for my child. Have you guys done this one?
With DOM or React?
With React, yeah.
I didn't do that.
Okay. So how about you guys do it together? All right. If you guys have a code from DOM or from DOM, like a CSS stylings, etc., just get it and put it into React application and try to do the JS logic, the JavaScript logic. All right, the tip calculator from projects and React. Let's divide it into groups. How many people do we have? We have 8 people. So
Just 2 teams.
2 teams, I guess, right? And 4 each.
Yeah.
That'll go great. I would like to assign you guys randomly. Oops, no. No. Move to room 2. All right. And if you guys need any help, I will be here. Hey guys, welcome back. We're about to finish it right now. We're almost past the time right now. So I created the starter code for tip calculator. Just check it out. You just put app.jsx and CSS file, that's it. All right. I actually grab it from CodePad. Okay. Instead of writing the whole thing from scratch. And the task is to calculate the tip. And you guys already know the formula, right? Bill amount service equal divided by number of people will give you the total amount. Okay, so the forms is a little bit different in React. Okay, some people were using some sort of a, for instance, if you put the label, let me just try to explain this right here. So it is still my voting system. Inside my voting system, inside my app.jsx, I just put my form, right? A completely different component. And inside my component, my form component, I created simple form and with the input labels and password and the two inputs, okay, and submit button. So there's no clear logic right now. If I click it, it just says that this is empty strings for both of these. But yeah, we'll see these in the next class, all right, before we go over the to-do list. I will try to explain you guys how the form data goes in React applications. Okay, so I know that you guys try to create multiple state variables for each input. That is fine too, but to create, as I was mentioning in my .jsx right over here, okay, constant form data. So we can create a single object for each form data, right? And the handle change will definitely need to come for form on submit. Don't put on submit for the button itself. right? If your button is inside the form, try to deal with the form submit with on submit event for form tags, okay, for HTML element. And then handle submit will deal with the form data. But the thing about is that we have two options to update the form data, right? So do not confuse yourself with this setting. We'll try to see, maybe you guys know already this type of updating from DOM projects, but we'll try to see it in the next class before we go to do applications, okay? So this is one way to initiate form data initially instead of creating different multiple state variables for each input. We can create a single object and we can update individual inputs like this. But then, of course, if you type something and password and submit, you will see your form data from this console log. Okay.
So in this case, Azamat, do we need to have, for example, name and value? Is it for every input field, right?
So it depends. So for instance, handle change, right? Handle change is applied to every single input that you have. It doesn't matter how many inputs you have, right? It doesn't matter how many inputs you have. It will be applied. We will have only single function for each on change event that's been triggered for different inputs. This is for email. This is for password. You might have first name, last name, GitHub, other location, etc. inputs. Okay, so we will apply only one function, and then with that function, as you guys know, the
You
spread
can get data, right, with that?
Yes.
Okay.
So the spread operator, as you guys know, will keep the remaining data and it will update the specific sections of the inputs. Okay. So yeah, we'll don't confuse yourself. We'll take a look into it in the next class. Okay. And then we have another option, which might be used interchangeably, right? Which is called useref. We will utilize useref hook to deal with form data. Okay, cool. So any questions before we end this class?
Nope.
No questions.
Have a good day.
All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next class.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Azamat.
Yeah.
All right.